In the previous tasks, you've put all of the data into your system. You've filled in two databases. You filled in the task database, and you've also filled in your resource database. You connected them by making assignments. You have everything in your Microsoft project now to where you can see each of these tasks. You can see how they're all laid out over time. And now we get to the point where we need to start monitoring and controlling and tracking the project. And that's one of the things that project managers do all the time once it's kicked off. And it requires you to go in and get data from other people, get that information, get it into the system, because what your bosses really want to see whenever you're managing a project, they really like to see this Gantt chart. They like to see where you are with each one of your projects, how long things are going to be lasting, and the percentage that they're complete. So, with that said, typically what happens is that you're going to go in and you're going to be trying to get updates to update each and every one of your tasks as you go through this process. So, that oftentimes means that you're going to be reaching out to other people, asking them to give you information. I have found that weekly updates is about as frequently as you need to be asking for those things. Uh, However, when you do a weekly update, if you contact the person that is, well, I mean, you have several places here. Like for me, Tamara Jones, I've given Tamara Jones the requirement to develop an agenda. Um, if I just contact Tamara and say, can you give me an update? Um, she really doesn't know what I'm looking for. So things that I really need to know are start times, finish times, and percent completion. A lot of companies work on trying to track the amount of money that's being spent. So you may also have to be putting in there, hey, how many hours have you charged against this project as well? But at a minimum, it really is the things that you see on this. When did you start it? When did you finish it? And what percent complete are you? So if you look at page 1 of task 6 instructions that you have, you've gone through this process with what we call a data call. And in your data call, you've reached out to the people and said, hey, where are you? Have you started it? What's going on? And where are you headed? Type thing. You will see in the middle of the page there that you have 4 different projects or tasks for these projects that you have an update on. So what we want to do right now is to get these updates into the system. So to get started, first of all, make sure that you are in the tracking Gantt chart. If you're under the task tab, you can click on the view and you can see here that I'm in tracking Gantt. Okay, so in the tracking Gantt chart, once we've gotten the tracking Gantt chart set up, we can go up to the schedule area, and under mark on track rather, select update tasks. Okay, now what we need to do when we work on these things is we're going to update a task. So Microsoft Project's going to ask us which task are we thinking about. So let's work first of all on the project tracking task. So I'm going to highlight here, mark on track, update task. Okay, pops up a little dialog block here. From the information that you have on page 1 of your task, it says we have completed only 10% of it. Okay, so that takes care of the 10%. If I click OK here, you should see that when we go over 10% now is listed on the right hand side. You can also, now that you're on this, we can go into the task tab. Okay, let's actually over on the property tab, and in the properties tab we're going to click on details, and it's going to, because I am still on the project tracking, it's going to come in and ask me, what are we what are we talking about? Which details are we looking for? Um, and when you look at the details now for project tracking, it pops up. You'll see the resources that are included on this. Um, for me, it is just me that I have put on the resource tracking. And so what we're going to do here is we want to go in from this drop down list from the bottom. We need to be able to change this now to where we have actually worked 5 hours, but that we have 5.5 hours remaining. So for actual work, we're going to take this and drop it down to, let's see if we can just click over 0.5, and then in remaining work, our remaining work that we need is actually 5.5 hours. Okay, so that takes care of that. You can do this right now for each one of the other tasks that you have up there for issue tracking, developing a budget, develop communication plan. So go ahead and do that. Okay, as you continue to add there, and once again, you can see as you work through putting the information in, you can, once you've gotten this bottom dialog box opened up, you can navigate back and forth between, like right now I'm on develop communication plan. If I double click on develop an agenda, it will bring all this information up to where you can enter here as well. So moving around, once you get into these screens, you can move in and take care of those things. So I'm going to go ahead and just click OK here. You can make this bottom dialog box go away now after you get everything set by double left clicking. It will disappear. You'll also notice now that you've been putting information in that you will have some that have little red lines on them. If you hover over that red line, you can see that it's telling you that there's, you know, you've got a problem with it. If you right click on it, it will give you information here for you to go in and look to see what the specific issues are associated with that task. So a couple of things just so you can start looking and managing and moving around. Another thing that you can do to help speed things up, and we've talked before about these columns worth of information that you have. If you can either take and slide this over, or you'll notice that there's a toolbar here at the bottom. You can actually move things over. If you come in, you'll see an add new column. If you left click on add new column, there are all sorts of information tabs, whatever else that you can take and add in here. You can actually add your own information if you want. However, a very common thing for you to have to track is percent complete. So I just left clicked on the percent complete. It comes in. The minute that I have it in here now, instead of going through the steps that we went through before, you can now go in and you can click on each one of these and change them immediately. So that really does give you a chance to speed things up. Another thing that I want you to think about as you move through this project management is that every project has milestones. These are those events that mean something to us in the project, and when we get to those milestones, there's usually some sort of deliverable that has to be given to the customer, to the boss, or whatever else. So we need to be able to track these milestones in project so that we know whenever they're coming up. So I have moved on to the last page of the instructions for task number 6, and you'll see on step 3 that what we can do is we can go in and add a milestone. So you either need to be in the tracking Gantt or the Gantt chart. Once again, if you go to the left, you can either go to Gantt chart. I'm in tracking Gantt right now. So with that stated, let's go down to the planning process, because when we kicked off planning, we needed to have a deliverable of, hey, what are the things that we're going to get accomplished in this planning? So and that is for us really to be able to distribute the general plan to everyone else. So if you highlight the planning block and then you go up into Insert, Milestone, you'll see a milestone has just popped up for us. And whenever it popped up, we can see that the milestone that needs to be entered is Distribute General Plan. Okay, so we've got Distribute General Plan, and with it being there, we're going to take it, and it really needs to be drugged down below planning. All right, so we've put in the Distribute General Plan. It's a milestone, and if you look over here on the right hand side, I now have a black diamond. This black diamond says, it really is the visual icon of you have a deliverable. Very nice from being able to look at our Gantt chart from here, although it's a little bit messy. As a matter of fact, let's change this real quick to just a regular Gantt chart so it's not as messy. You can see that as from the boss's point of view, if we go back to this Gantt chart, if you were discussing your project with your boss, you could look out here into the future, and each one of these little diamonds tells us something big's coming up. This is a deliverable that we need to be able to track. So with that stated, that gives you all of the information that you need to know about being able to track. You can see from this Gantt chart now that it's already starting to show us some variances. From what I had before, it said I was going to start on a day. I'm already a day behind. So the variance helps me track what's going on. This gives me a visual tracking of where I am and what's going on. So we're making progress here with tracking the project, and that should get you finished up. Okay, thank you.